Good afternoon, everybody. It's March and Storm Freya has passed, although I think that she's still wreaking havoc in and around England. I'm not too sure. I was looking at the weather forecast last night. So I've been working peacefully and gently down on the land this morning. I was up quite early and listen to those birds. I ventured out and it was just gorgeous. I meant just to go down to cut one branch off a tree that was hanging on one side. And I've been down there for about 3 hours. So I'll take you down and show you what I've been doing. Now you see all those big white dollops across the land? That's rice. I had some rice that I was clearing out and I thought, oh, I'll cook this up for the birds, and the birds love it. So Jack's over there, but what I'll do is I'll sneak out the back. You can join me. So yes, we're at March in the calendar. What does it say about March? Talks about the ash tree. This is the month of the spring equinox, March the 20th. Right. Now I think it's kind of spitting a little bit with rain. Now you can see as well there's been a bit of crocheting going on. And let me just put the light on, just see better. So, I don't know what this is going to be. It's pretty wide, but haven't got a clue what it's going to turn into yet. I'm just, experimenting or just being creative without any particular thoughts in my head. And the blanket that I was knitting, well, I've kind of stopped knitting that for the moment. I might come back to it. For the moment it's making a beautiful, soft and warm and rather gorgeous cover for the sofa. So let's go out. Aha, Jack, there you are. Come on, we're going out. Let me see. I don't want to get water on the lens. Oh, but I can always just wipe it off, I suppose. Okay. We'll go. Come on, Jack. No time like the present. You see all this mulch that I put down on these potager beds? It's really working well. It's suppressing any weeds that are coming up. Highly recommend the old mulching. So, Jack, come over this way. I went down to the fairy wood this way. I've actually left the wheelbarrow down there because Jack was barking earlier on and I couldn't work out why he was barking. He was running up and down to the cottage, back to me, and barking all the while. It was quite strange. There was obviously something happening up here, which I was unaware of. So I left the wheelbarrow and I came back up quite slowly because Jack kept running back to me and he sort of led the way. And got back up here and there was nothing. Nothing. So it was quite strange, really. So these are just a series of stones there, not particularly even. I put them down years and years ago and they wibble and wobble about quite a bit. So there's a little path through the fairy wood. It was really incredible working in here because look at what I'm seeing there, including what is obviously a little entrance to something there. So I noticed all the spurge is starting to come up, and this is this beautiful sort of ground cover, little lime green flowers on it. So the first thing I did was, there was a big branch which had broken off and died and was hanging down on one side of the old fairy thorn. So I've cut that off just into little bits and dropped it all down there. And then as I was kind of moving back up here and looking round, the fairy thorn it's quite amazing, because look at all these stems coming out of it, and this one here which goes right up and leans over onto there. So it really has spread out. See, I'm still discovering this fairy thorn because I very rarely go anywhere near it. You know, just leave things as they are and do what I have to do. So in this case, of course, it was a dead branch and it was obscuring the light to the fairy tree, and I just thought, time to take that down and leave it where it falls. Chop it into small bits, like all this, and it creates another habitat, another place. There's been lots of rain, and no flooding, of course, in my land, because everything is as it should be. But you can see there's a huge amount of water coming out of the spring well now. Look at this. Isn't this amazing? Such a flow on it. It's a real little waterfall there now. And of course, this main drain that was dug years ago going across the land is working really well. But I did spend quite a lot of time over the winter clearing that out. So I was moving down here this morning, moving along and trimming back some of the brambles that were coming into place. Now excuse me just while I wipe the lens here. Let me see now. I'll have to use a little bit of my coat. There, that should be better. I'm just tidying up along here, you know. Always ensuring that the water is flowing without any hindrance. So I got down to here, and you can see I've been cutting back brambles. And as you can see, I pile them up. I make little habitat piles. It's always worked well. And then coming along here, trimming back little branches just to ensure that the path is open. And whatever I cut, I pile back up. Again, it's all about habitat, and it's all about the health of the soil and letting things biodegrade as they do in nature. And then down along here I cut back a lot of the Leicester famosa. There was huge big clumps of it here, and just tied it up. Oh, there's Mr. Jack. So there's my wheelbarrow, which I must bring back up. I've got one more piece of wood there left to cut. So then coming down along here, this fuchsia had got very big, very tall, very heavy, and was beginning to hang over the path. So I give that a really good cut. And again, put all the bits into areas where, you know, some of it may regenerate. If it doesn't, it'll all go back into the earth. Here, see the pond over there. So seeing as I'm now quite wet, I may as well just carry on. There's the quince, looking beautiful amidst all the willow. So it's raining now, but it may just dry up later on. I'm always optimistic when it comes to the weather, because the weather here in the west of Ireland is very unpredictable. But of course you can see all this water now flowing along there, and look at all the sand down there, because of course the earth here is sitting on top of sandstone. So there's a lot of sand that flows out. And sometimes I harvest it. I have harvested it in the past when I've been mixing cement. I've used that sand, given me beautiful kind of putty-like cement. Lovely flow in that water. It's a mixture of spring water and rainwater. Just show you this beautiful willow down here. It's worth a visit. Isn't this gorgeous? Gonna have to give this lens another wipe, excuse me. Okay, I'll head back up this way. Now I noticed that there were people out cutting hedges, which I find quite disturbing, because the birds have already started to nest, you see. And it seems as though the rules, you know, because people do follow the rules here, you know, that it's kind of not a deliberate act. But the rules are that the hedges can be cut between such and such a month and such a month, you know? Which in the past, of course, was a time when the birds weren't nesting. But the way the climate's going, the birds are nesting early, and local government needs to take that into consideration, which they're not at the moment. Look at all this frog spawn. And look, the water's running out over it. They've actually spawned out here on the stream. Oh, crazy. Crazy stuff. Come on, Jack. I'm getting wet. Very wet. through here. I'll have to bring the wheelbarrow up later on. There's a beautiful greening, isn't there? So much is just sparking into life now. These little trees that I planted, look, they're all budding. Because I bought bare-rooted birch in the past, and a lot of it has just died on me because I think they dried out, you know, before I bought them. There's the rice. Ooh, I'm well and truly drenched. Now, blessings to you all. Have a lovely Sunday.